Hey, I'm Jake. I make RPG supplements and videos about Pathfinder 2, or PF2. I love PF2. This is the greatest system maybe that I've ever played. It's a toss-up between this and Old World of Darkness. Argue with me in the comments, that's fine. Anyway, thanks for being here. We're going over the Worm Caller dedication today, or archetype today, that I recently used in my Stitch build. I like it a lot for a variety of reasons, and I'll tell you why in a moment. First, I'm going to read the intro. Worm Caller. It's from Cult of the Cave Worm, page 80. I don't know. I don't have it. Page 194. You follow the ancient Hringar tradition of the Worm Caller. They're just evil, deep dwarves. Mystics who can call upon the strength and destructive force of the mighty cave worms. Purple worms to you, D&D fans. That inhabit the Darklands. The Underdark for you D&D fans. You can manifest worms to attack your enemies, draw upon their senses and resistances, summon one to do your bidding, and eventually become a worm yourself. Who doesn't want to be a worm? I've always wanted to be one. Loot, you want to be a worm? No, I think he'd rather eat the table. Worm Caller dedication, level 2 feat. Prerequisites trained in nature or cave worm lore. For all of you that had that cave worm lore, now it's useful. You pledge yourself to understanding and emulating one of the most powerful creatures of the Darklands, the mighty cave worm. You gain the following action. Shake it off. 1 action, Fortune Primal. Frequency once per day. Trigger. You fail or critically fail a saving throw against a condition or adverse effect, such as Baleful Polymorph. Effect. You reroll the triggering save and use the better result. I'm going to highlight this. A condition or adverse effect. That's fucking anything. Adverse effect is being on fire. I would think that's adverse. Okay, I guess if you want to restrict it, it wouldn't be damaging. It's like everything except damaging spells. But really an adverse effect is like anything that's bad. Anyway. This is one of the few that have a really good first ability for the dedication. So many of them are just crap. Hello, Oozemorph dedication. Next feat, level 4, Worm Sense. You emulate the senses of the cave worm. You gain dark vision and tremor sense as an imprecise sense within 5 feet. The range of the tremor sense increases to 10 feet at 8th level and 15 feet at 12th level. It is still useful, but not much. At low levels, I mean. Eventually, at high levels and you get 15 feet, it's much more useful, but there's going to be times that your GM just throws darkness at you and other stuff like obscuring mist, or just mist now, or a dust cloud, or a giant ooze that covers you and you need to know what's going on, so tremor sense would be handy. I feel the blubber around me wiggle. I know something's happening. Level 4 feat. Worm Skin. Your flesh grows thick and bloated, protecting you against harm. You gain resistance equal to half your level versus one of the following types of damage chosen when you take the feat: fire, cold, or bludgeoning. This choice cannot be changed. When you're unarmored, your flesh gives you a +2 item bonus to AC with a dexterity cap of +3. You can apply... This is badly written, but you can apply with armor potency runes and property runes directly to your flesh, though excruciatingly painful. Special. You can take this feat up to 3 times, each time selecting a new damage type from the list, so you can get resistance from fire, cold, and bludgeoning by taking this multiple times. This is an amazing feat. And please just reflavor this however it works for you. It doesn't have to be worm skin. This whole feat is going to have that as a trend. I'm going to say it several times. This is, I think, just the first one, actually. Yeah, this is the first time that you might not want to have the thick, bloated, ripply skin of a worm. Anyway, awesome feat, multiple uses, and you could take it multiple times. This is like what all good feats are, or should be. It's nice. Next feat, level 6, Inexorable. You imbue yourself with the resilience of the cave worm. When you gain the paralyzed, slowed, or stunned condition, roll a DC 15 flat check. On a success, you ignore the condition. There's more, but I'm stopping there. Because that's awesome and amazing. Because, like... this archetype is for casters or non-casters. It doesn't matter. And if you get the paralyzed or slowed or stunned condition, trying to negate that takes longer than it really should. It seems to drag on forever, because like you're slowed 1. Okay, are you going, if you have the ability to cast the spell to remove slowed, are you going to cast the spell, thus taking your entire turn? Or are you just going to be slow? You're probably just going to be slow, or paralyzed, or stunned. Like, those things suck. So to just passively maybe resist it, maybe use a hero point to resist it, awesome. It can mean you survive, or your party survives. This is great for a lot of purposes. It doesn't have to be related to the cave worm. Just being unstoppable by paralyzed, slowed, or stunned. Fine. Having a chance, besides the saving throw, of avoiding paralyzed, slowed, or stunned is amazing for anybody who might be in the front lines, or anybody who might be a caster. So anyone, except maybe like an archer. But how many archers are out there? I'm actually quite curious about that. So the rest of Inexorable says, when using Worm form, a much later feat, you are immune to penalties to your speed and the immobilized condition. You gain a +2 circumstance bonus to your fortitude or reflex DC against attempts to shove or trip you, and you ignore difficult terrain and greater difficult terrain. None of that matters yet, because you don't have that other feat. When you do, great, you're more like a big-ass worm. Next feat, level 6, Worm's Feast. 2 actions. It has the primal trait and conjuration, which means this is a spell. Well, at least it's magic. It doesn't have the manipulate trait, but it is technically magical. Frequency, once per day. You call forth a brood of infantile cave worms to feast on your enemy's flesh. Choose a creature within 30 feet. The creature must attempt a fortitude save at 8th level, and every 2 levels above that, the persistent piercing damage taken on a failure increases by 1d6. Critical success. The worms writhe away harmlessly. Like every critical success. Success. The target takes 2d6 piercing damage and 2d6 persistent piercing damage. I'm just going to pause there for a moment. There are not any ways that I can remember to get rid of persistent piercing damage. It's not like you can just like soak yourself to get rid of fire and acid. That piercing damage sucks. Failure. The target takes 6d6 piercing damage and 2d6 persistent piercing damage. Critical failure as failure, which is the 6d6 plus 2d6, plus the target is flat-footed as long as it takes persistent piercing damage. Wow. For a 6th level feat, this is great. I see why it's only once per day. It's powerful. There's nothing wrong with this. This is a great feat. If you don't want it, there's other 6th level feats. Well, there's one other 6th level feat. But there's still other 4th level feats. So you can, my common thing to do is take 2nd level, 4th level, if possible, and then get out of the archetype so that I can just go into another archetype if I want to. Because usually the most useful things for me are at the low end. So I like hop from one to another. And some of the dedication feats are bullshit. Hello, Sentinel. And Champion. Worm Empathy, level 8 feat. You can connect with cave worms and other worm-related creatures at the GM's discretion. What the fuck would that be? On a rudimentary level, you can use diplomacy to make an impression on cave worms and to make simple requests of them. In most cases, the cave worm's starting attitude is indifferent and they will give you time to establish contact. I would say that this relates to any worm of any kind. Not a snake, of course, but like earthworms, just because like it's not useful otherwise. It's a level 8 fucking feat to talk to cave worms. Why would you bother? Unless this is related to a specific adventure, in which case the GM should just give you this. Or why would they expect you to have this? It's just not great at all, ever. Yeah, any ideas on how to expand that? That'd be great. Thanks. Next feat, level 10, Azure Fins. I like this one. When submerged in water or another liquid, you form small fin-like arms along your body, granting you far greater maneuverability while swimming. Fin-like arms. So you have extra appendages that are finny. You gain a swim speed equal to your land speed. Furthermore, while swimming on the surface of a liquid, you can leap out of the liquid and do not fall until the end of your turn, allowing you to spend the rest of the turn above the surface. That last ability, it might seem like they're putting too fine of a point on it, but that does matter. Because when you are underwater and you're trying to fight something above water, or you're above water and you're trying to fight something underwater, they're concealed. So there's always a mischance. But with this, you can jump out of the liquid wherever you want and clearly see your target for the rest of your turn to use your abilities. It's actually quite useful. Also, this is a really powerful swim speed that's just equal to your land speed, and there's no detriment. There's no drawback to this feat. You could base aquatic characters, well, not base, you could take this archetype and flavor it as just an aquatic type character of whatever you want. So like, if you wanted to play an aquatic type Minotaur, you could like take these, and now you're a Murnitor. I don't know. All right, next feat, level 10. Call Worm Spirit. 2 actions, frequency once per day. This has the Conjuration and Primal traits, so it's a magic thingy. You call forth a ghostly manifestation of the Worm Spirit. The Worm Spirit? There's a Worm Spirit? That's a little frightening. Choose an intersection on the ground within 60 feet. The ghostly maw of a worm emerges from the ground, attacking all creatures in a 10-foot burst. Each creature in the area must attempt a reflex save, so this doesn't actually disturb the ground, which I think kind of sucks, because it should drag people under, because that's fun. Critical success. The target is unaffected. Success. The target takes 1d10 plus 13 bludgeoning damage as it is battered by the worm's body. That's on a success. That's nice. I know, it's level 10, but that's appropriate damage for that level on a success. It's good. Failure. The target takes 3d10 plus 15 piercing damage as it is bitten by the worm. The target is immobilized until the end of its next turn. I imagine that's because the ghostly maw just stays shut. Critical failure. As failure, but the damage increases to 6d10 plus 30, and the target is knocked prone. Jesus, that's awesome. I know it's typical double damage, but that's a lot of fucking damage. And they're knocked prone. Cool. That's a great spell. That's a good ability. 2 actions. I know it's not technically a spell, but it's a magical ability. Whatever. The way this archetype is built is like the first half is for physical characters. Like you need physical durability, and like if you're in the front lines, it helps you a lot. The last half is like casters, like area effect abilities. It's interesting. It's really neat. I know, I keep saying that, but I like it a lot. Alright, we went over Azure Fins, Call Worm Spirit, Tunnel. Next feat, level 10, Tunnel. You gain a burrow speed of 10 feet. Yeah, I know, it's not a big burrow speed, but it's burrow. And it doesn't say that it's like only loose sand or soil like some feats do. It's a burrow speed. And as soon as you use a burrow speed, you have cover, and nobody can see you to target you. Unless there's some like really obvious reason why they would. But it is a cheesy ass get out of danger free card. Or it's a really good way to surprise someone. Tunnel is great. Burrow speed is really powerful. Next feat, level 12, Crimson Breath, 2 actions. It has the Evocation Fire and Primal traits. Bear in mind the remaster changes some of this. Frequency once per day. You gain a fire breath weapon similar to that of a crimson worm, because of course there are so many worms now, not just purples. You breathe a blast of flame in a 30-foot cone that deals 12d6 fire damage to all creatures in the area, basic reflex save. This damage increases by 2d6 at 14th level and every 2 levels thereafter. Fire is the most resisted damage, I think. Well, the most resisted elemental damage for sure. And, well, this isn't always going to be useful, but it's really neat if you're not a caster. You can breathe fire. Sure, it's once a day, but if you're not a caster, you're only going to use it in those really niche, in a pinch kind of situations. And then it'll be really fucking impressive. Not everybody's going to take this, but I'm glad it's here. It's available. You're a dragon for a moment. Next feat, level 12, Venomous Touch. You've learned to channel the sting of the worm. You gain Purple Worm Sting as an innate primal spell that you can cast once per day. Purple Worm Sting is a 6th level spell. Yes, hello. I love you too. I'm going to read it mostly. It is Necromancy, Poison, Range, Touch, target one creature, saving throw Fortitude. You replicate the attack of a deadly purple worm. You deal 3d6 piercing damage to the touched creature and afflict it with purple worm venom. The target must attempt a Fortitude save. Oh, loot. Stop with the things. Critical success, the target is unaffected. Success, the target takes 3d6 poison damage. Failure, the target is afflicted with purple worm venom at stage 2. Critical failure, they have it at stage... Sorry. Failure, they have it at stage 1. Critical failure, they have it at stage 2. And it's just a bunch of poison damage and enfeebled. It's useful in general. Something interesting to me. Okay, first of all, having this that you have to touch someone, it's not great for casters. This is also another thing that's for somebody who's doing melee already, or at least within melee range. There are some casters that would be in melee range, like a witch with claws. But you gain this as an innate primal spell that you can cast once per day, meaning that it's an innate spell, meaning that you gain the cast a spell activity and spell attack and spell DC, meaning you can activate items that require those abilities. It's just a nice benefit. It's a side benefit. Doesn't really highlight it, but it's nice. It could be handy, depending on your adventure. Next feat, level 14. Worm Form, 2 actions. It has the Polymorph, Primal, and Transmutation traits. This one's kind of long, so bear with me. You take on the form of a purple worm or transform into a humanoid worm hybrid, retaining your own head, but with a worm's body. That's a sexy picture. Transforming into a huge battle form. You must have enough space to expand into, or the ability is lost. While in this form, you gain the animal trait, you can dismiss the form. It's huge! That's awesome, and it extends your reach commensurately, because huge creatures have a natural 10-foot reach. You gain the following statistics and abilities regardless of which battle form you choose. This is pretty standard along other battle forms. AC equals 20 plus your level. Ignore your armor's check penalty and speed reduction, because you don't have the armor right now. 40 temporary hit points. That's a lot of temporary hit points for something that transforms you like this. Like the demon one gives you 30, and most of the others don't give you much, or any. Dark Vision. Level 14. You already have Dark Vision by now. 1 or more unarmed melee attacks specific to the battle form you choose, which are the only attacks you can strike with. You're trained with them. Your attack modifier is plus 25, and you use the listed damage. Melee attacks are strength-based for the purpose of the enfeebled condition, for example. If your unarmed attack modifier is higher, you can use it instead. Athletics modifier of plus 30, unless your own modifier is higher. Pause here for a moment. So this says that you can only strike with these attacks. Yes, hello. That doesn't mean that that's the only kind of attack you can make. It's the only kind of strike you can make. So you can still do attack actions like trip and, I don't know, engulf, grapple, whatever. But because this is a polymorph effect, you lose spellcasting abilities. You can't cast spells and you can't use your normal strikes. So you're pretty much just this monster with athletics. You also gain specific abilities based on the type of monster you choose. Purple worm speed if you're the purple worm choice, speed 40 feet, burrow 30 feet, swim 20 feet. That burrow by itself could change the tide of a battle, because that's a lot of burrow speed. Melee, 1 action jaws, deadly 2d10, reach 15 feet. Hello. Damage 3d10 plus 15 piercing. Melee, 1 action stinger, agile poison, reach 15 feet. Damage 2d12 plus 15 piercing plus 2d6 persistent poison. Melee 1 action body is the name of an attack. Reach 15 feet, damage 1d10 plus 13 bludgeoning. So that's the purple worm form. That's probably the one you're going to choose, because the other one just lets you keep your head. I don't know, for talking, because you can't cast spells. I guess it's just for the whole sexy factor. That's an amazing giant demonic larva you have there. Hybrid. Your speed is 40 feet. You don't get the burrow speed or the swim speed. I'm assuming you need a purple worm head for those things. Melee 1 action stinger. Agile poison, reach 10 feet. Not 15. Damage 2d12 plus 15 piercing plus 1d6 persistent poison. You also have a melee body attack. Reach 10 feet. Damage 1d10 plus 13 bludgeoning. If you take the hybrid form, it says here You retain the ability to speak. Hybrid caster. You retain the ability to speak and can cast spells as long as they don't have somatic or material components. You'll need to talk with your GM because this is post-remaster. You'll need to see if you can do that. That's not all this does. That's just all it says it does under worm form. So we go to the earlier feat that augments it. Inexorable. It's the 6th level feat. When using worm form, and you have this feat, you are also immune to penalties to your speed and the immobilized condition. You gain a +2 circumstance bonus to your fortitude or reflex DC against attempts to shove or trip you, and you ignore difficult terrain and greater difficult terrain. Makes worm form better, and it's already good. As level 14 feat, this will make you rule the battlefield. And if you're a caster, this gives you a new attack modifier. So obviously, you might not be doing any casting, depending on if it's hybrid or not, and talk to your GM. But you could switch to just, you rule the whole battlefield now. There's a big onslaught of bad guys, and like there's an army in front of the leader, the general. Worm form, burrow underground, go take out the general. Because now you're basically a barbarian. This is awesome. This is very awesome. Why does this not say how long it lasts? Am I wrong here? 2 action, polymorph primal transmutation. Archetype prerequisites. You can dismiss it. If there's an errata for this, I don't know of it, and it would already be on archives if it's long enough ago. This has no fucking duration. Usually battle forms are like a minute. There's no duration. There's no duration. How? I can't say that enough. I can't. Okay, I guess if I were the GM, I'd say you have to have a duration. It's a minute because it's a battle form and it's meant to be that way. But if you're a fun GM, not like me, I would just say that, you know, you can take it and just stay in that form. Holy crap. It doesn't say you can only do it once a day either. Okay, so this might need some house ruling, maybe. Because it probably should for balance. Otherwise, you just... Whoomp. You're a giant purple worm now. Whoomp. You're just a dude. Whoomp, purple worm. Okay. I guess that's how it's meant to be at 14th level. That's a little powerful. That's okay, though. Okay, no, it's got to be modified. Because 40 temporary hit points every time you take the form. That's what it says. No, it has to be a duration. It has to be once a day. Sorry. It's probably a minute, and it's probably just once a day. Or if you want to be nice, you can say, like, okay, you can sacrifice another 7th level spell, 7th rank spell, to do it again. Last feat, level 18. Call the Worm. Prerequisites Azure fins for some reason. That is stupid. Get rid of that. That makes no sense for this ability. You gain Summon Animal heightened to 9th level as an innate primal spell that you can cast once per day, but can only summon a purple worm. At 20th level, you can summon an elite purple worm instead. Okay. It's a primal spell. Once per day, you summon a purple worm. You can't use this spell to fill your prepared slots or spontaneous slots. It just doesn't work that way. So it's only ever once a day. Unless there's some weird shenanigans that I'm not aware of. But the prerequisites of Azure fins makes no fucking sense. Just kick that right out. It doesn't matter. Obviously, this is going to be powerful because it's heightened to a 9th rank spell. And then it becomes an elite purple worm. It is a summoning spell, so you still have to spend an action at least controlling it. But it's awesome. And you can summon the purple worm and then change into a purple worm. And then there's 2 giant purple worms on the battlefield, one of them talking to the other one. Oh, man. So that could even be like a sea serpent or something else. Like, there's a lot of aquatic feel in this. I could easily picture somebody being like a were-kraken or a were-whale with this. It's just cool. Thank you for your attention. Thanks for coming by. If you're a patron, I'm grateful for you people, and so are the little ones, even this one that never comes by. Hi, this is Gast. You want to say hello? No, he doesn't. Okay. Yeah, I'm just looking for treats. Because loot leaves them. Anyway, if you want to see more archetypes here, if you want to see more builds here, thank you, and Ohana.